I'm Heather Smith, and I'm one of the chairs of the Chapter Image Awards, and I want to thank you for coming and welcome everyone. In the back is Ashlyn Webb, who is the co-chair of Image Awards with me, and also everyone knows as well Lindsay Hudock, who is part of the Image Planning Committee. So we're really glad to have everyone here tonight so you can learn more about the Image Awards, about the process, and of course the new judging rubric. We're excited today because we have with us Whitney Lee, who is the VP of Golden Image, and she is speaking to chapters all across the state to make sure that everyone's aware of the process and help answer your questions about submitting an Image Award.
Hey everyone, thanks for having me tonight. How many people in here have submitted and won an Image Award before? Okay, so we have a lot of newbies in the crowd, so that's exciting. I'm going to tell you more about it, but I'll tell you how I got to be VP of Golden Image. I have been a member of FPRA for about 10 years, and I was president of my chapter. I'm from Destin, so if anybody know where Destin is? Up where, in between Pensacola and Panama City, so a long way from here. I was president of my chapter about 5 years ago, and I was actually president of my chapter before I ever entered in Image Awards because it scared me so much. I just thought, I don't have time for that. Like, oh my gosh, it was so much work, and I started reading into it, and I just got overwhelmed, and I never entered. And when I finally did, or let me say this, I went to a conference, and I saw at Golden Image everybody walking across the stage, and she's getting those little pyramids, and I just like caught the fever, and I was like, I'm gonna get one of those. I don't know what it's gonna take, but I will figure it out, and I'm going to win one of those. And sure enough, I did. I won like 4 awards, and once I did it, I finally realized, like, holy cow, I was making this far more difficult than it really, really is. It's a big honor to win, but you guys, it's your campaign, so you know it in and out. We're talking about 2 pages and some screenshots and attachments here. It's all about how you position it, so that's what we're going to talk about today. Let me not trip over my leash. So here we go. So these are some sites that you'll need to know. We do everything. Of course, we've got the big FPRA website, but this specifically, FPRAimage.org, is where all the magic happens. That's where you're going to submit. And then, of course, if you want to take a peek at Golden Image and those other sites, they're going to tell you more information about Golden specifically. So this is what we're going to talk about really quickly. We're going to give you a background since it seems like you guys are some newbies. We're going to talk about planning your entry, sample entry approach, how to actually enter, like what do you do, how do you actually submit the award, and then some other resources for you. So just a quick overview. This is our awards competition. You guys do countless projects year-round, and this is how we honor your hard work. So we've been doing Golden for over 60 years, but then they decided to start doing local competitions. And actually, you can just enter in Golden, but I tell everyone, like, don't miss the opportunity for local, because that's your chance to get your feet wet. Not only can you win at local level, but they're judging your entry once, so when Golden comes around, like, you're ready. You know, you've already had someone looking over it, giving you feedback, so don't miss your opportunity for local. But it's a measure of excellence in public relations tools and campaigns. So, and just, I mean, look at these people. That's what made me catch the fever. I was like, I want that pyramid. It's a lot of fun to win, and it's great for your resume too. So these are our different divisions. A lot of you guys will fall into Division D, which is going to be our student public relations projects. And we'll talk more about divisions here. There's categories inside of each one. So here we go. The first one, public relations programs, is the largest. So take a peek at some of these categories. This can give you some ideas about things that could be entered. I know there's some students and some professionals in here, so I'll cover both. But this just goes to show you can enter, something for promotional marketing, a crisis communication situation, something for community relations, special events. I know a lot of us do events. So Division B is all about printed stuff from news releases. If you did a poster or a calendar, an annual report, magazine, newsletter, all of our printed stuff. Division C is all about digital. So you got videos, websites, any kind of online campaign or project. And I always tell people, okay, well, look at this one first. Division D, so this is for you guys. It's a speech you've written, a news release, a public service announcement, some type of PR campaign, or something digital, or a position paper. I always tell people, don't overwhelm yourself. I spent probably an hour trying to figure out what category I went into, and actually if you submit and you're in the wrong category, the beautiful thing is that the judges will recategorize you and you're not penalized for that. So don't get too overly obsessed with, oh my gosh, which category do I go into? But the categories are good because they give you an idea of some of the stuff you can enter. So this is kind of how it works with what awards we give out. So an award of distinction, think of it like this. Everything is judged on a 100-point scale, right? Just like in school. There's a realm of excellence, and if you get that grade, if every single one of y'all get that grade or higher, then you all get award of distinction. It's not like there's only one available. So then let's say 10 people get an award of distinction because they received a score in the realm of excellence or above that. Out of those 10 people, the person with the highest score gets the image award. So in each category, there's only one image award. So if you have the highest score of all the awards of distinction, you will be given the image award. Judges Award is all about your budget. That's mainly for professionals, but it could apply to a student project as well. If you are working with a teeny tiny budget and you make something big happen, basically that's what a Judges Award means. A grand image, and this is only gonna, grand image is the best image award entry in each category B, C, D. So if you are the best one in the entire category, in every single one of those, in that entire division, in each one of those categories, you get a grand image, and then a grand all image is the best one in all of Division A. So that's kind of how it breaks down. This may not affect some of you guys if you've never entered before, but this is going to be super valuable when you put together your entry. So these are all of the aspects when you're putting together an entry. This is everything that you need to have. The first two things, sorry, I feel like I'm blocking some people. The first two things are by far the most important. The entry, your 2-page summary. You're going to write that in Word, and we'll talk more about the logistics of that. That's all of your written information. Your support materials are going to be screenshots of posts you've done. Maybe it's the press release. What I do is I take all my screenshots and all my press releases and whatever I'm using in my support material, I drag it into one Word doc and then just make a PDF. And then the organizational review, overview, the 50-word summary, and the image, you're not judged on those things. Basically what that is when the judge opens your entry, it'll say a little bit of the organizational overview is a little bit about your team. So like for me, I own my own company. Socially PR Media Co. is a team of 3. They're a boutique consulting firm based out of Destin, Florida. It's kind of an overview so the judges know, am I looking at a huge team? Am I looking at a corporate team? They kind of have a background of who is handling the campaign. A 50-word summary is a quick summary of what the campaign's all about. We had a PR, public relations campaign focusing on the new launch of a product, just something quick. And then the image and graphic is also what's going to be displayed when you're walking across stage to get your award. So that's what they'll say. They'll put up your picture and they read about your organization and your 50-word summary. So you guys need to focus the most on the first two by far. So the changing this year are the things that are changing. For my professionals in the room, you may know it used to be a 1 to 10 scale. Our judges would open your document and they would answer questions that were all 1 to 10, and it was like 1 through 3, or 1 and 2 is poor, 3 through 5 is fair, 6 through blah, 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 and it was just kind of vague. It would ask them a question, did the entry include SMART objectives? 1 and 2, poor, 3 through 5, fair, but that was pretty much all. So we wanted to make it far more specific, so we narrowed it down to 1 through 5, and we'll talk about each one of those questions here in just a little bit. And we're also asking for some additional stuff this year in your 2-page summary. So everyone's rejoicing over this. You get more room. You would think 2 pages, we used to do double space, so now we're giving you 1.5 spacing. That's a little more room for you. We used to do 1 inch around the edge. Now we're doing 0.75 margin around the edge. So it seems like a tiny bit, but that'll actually get you probably about 6 more lines in your entry. And trust me, once you start writing this, you are definitely going to want more space. Come on in. Yeah, oh, yeah. Do I seem like a professor? That's awesome. Yeah, exactly. I can wear that hat. So we're giving you a little more space this year to include what we're asking for. And here's what we're asking for. The additional stuff that we haven't really judged on in the past that need to be included in your entry going forward. Goals. We want you to specifically identify your goals. Strategies and tactics need to be provided. Your audience needs to be identified, and you need to talk about psychographic and demographic information. The communication channels you use to reach the target audience. The sequencing of events or a timeline when you're implementing your project or your campaign. Assigned responsibilities for planning the execution, like who's doing what on your team. And the inclusion of communication messages used to identify the target audience. So what are you saying to them, basically? So these are the new things. This is why we're giving you extra space. And just a little FYI, next Friday, February 14th, FPRA does our monthly webinars. I'm actually the featured webinar person, but I'm not going to do this presentation. What I'm going to do is the presentation is going to break down each one of these new aspects and give you a good example of what those would be. So, and I'll tell you, actually, is somebody ready to toggle to the internet, Ashlyn or Lindsay? I wanted to show you guys this really quick. Right here at the top, you see where it says FPRAimage.org. You can actually download the judges sheet. Every single person should do this. This is the key to winning. If you take away anything from this presentation, this is what you need to take away. So, actually, we need to be on FPRAimage.org. No, we're still, so open another tab, or Lindsay, go to FPRAimage.org. This is the state website, so. Oh, duh. All right. FPRA, am I on the right line? I can't see what I'm typing. This is weird. Okay, there we go. Teamwork. Okay, so this is the FPRA Image website. What I was just telling you about, if you click on judging criteria right there in the main navigation, boom, there we go. This is actually going to give you a breakdown. This is in my presentation too, but this is a breakdown of how each, go back up really quick. You see these are the different sections of your two-page summary. This is telling you exactly how many points each section is worth. So the two-page summary is 70 points of your entire score. The support material we talked about, like screenshots and stuff that you're going to put into a PDF, that is 30%. So scroll down, if you will. Download the judging process and rubric. Boom. If you click on that, this is a PDF you guys can download, and this is exactly what the judges are going to use to judge your entry. So that's a point breakdown again right there at the top. Voila. If you want to scroll down a little bit, this is just what I'm telling you guys in my presentation about new stuff, what's changing. You want to keep scrolling? Okay. So it goes through section by section, and it tells you on every question, the judges are going to have 5 options, 1 through 5, poor, fair, good, very good, and outstanding. So they're going to be asked a question, and every single time they'll answer either poor, fair, good, very good, or outstanding in every section. So all you have to do is go to the outstanding in every single section, and as you write your entry, okay, right here, defining the problem, make sure that the purpose of the project is clearly and concisely stated and defined. Check, make sure that's in your entry. A collection of all that's known about the situation, the history, operating forces, and anyone involved internally and externally. Boom, make sure that's in your entry. So go through, and you can actually scroll through this entire, if you guys want, you can scroll through to see what each outstanding, see here, go up really quick. It's okay. Just another example. Here's where we're talking about including your goal. What does outstanding say? It needs to be stated and provide clear direction to identifying the problem, the issue, or the opportunity. The goal makes sense within the context of the organization's broader vision, its mission, and the operational goals. Boom. Same thing under SMART objectives. Are you including all the elements, outstanding. The objectives contain all the elements outlined below. They're specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time specific. So I just encourage you, as you write each section of your entry, go right there. Go see what outstanding says and double check your writing to make sure it's there. So we won't go through every single section of it, but definitely get to fpraimage.org while you're writing your entry and use that. So voila. Okay, we may come back to this, but if you'll go back to my presentation. Thank you. All right, so that's the new stuff this year. And this is just this is what we just looked at. It's just screenshots of that PDF. So everybody please go download that. So here, something, if you're thinking about what should I enter, this is kind of a great guideline for you. So it had to have happened sometime in 2019 or up until March 1 of this year. So you basically have about 15 months there. So think about what you've done in the past year and things that you're going to be finishing too. What are you most proud of? What did you get a ton of hits on? Or maybe you had a social media campaign that just had a ton of shares, or think back to some of your most successful things. And then look at the divisions and categories too if you need ideas on what to enter. This is just some other ideas. What am I most proud of? What were you like, holy cow, I can't believe we got on the front page of the newspaper, or, and choosing how to enter, some people do an entire campaign. Maybe you have a project happening and you want to enter the whole campaign, or you could say, our press release really rocked, let's just enter the press release. So don't forget to think that, you have the opportunity to break it down like that. So gather everything, lay it all out, ask yourself what's missing, look at the judging rubric and that'll tell you what's missing, and gather everything else. So sometimes, especially if you have help, if multiple people worked on a project, I say split it up. One person handle the screenshots and the support material. One person handle the 2-page summary. So, whoop, I think I just skipped something. When you write your 2-page summary, make sure you follow the rules. I mean, for the students in the room, that's easy peasy. Don't ignore the margin rule. Don't, you can't use smaller than 10-point font. You'll be disqualified, and that's so frustrating that you worked so hard just for a font size, So make sure you follow the rules. This is what we just looked at too. This is a breakdown. So 70% of your score comes from your 2-page summary. So like we said, it cannot be longer than 2 pages, but we're giving you that extra space. You've got to use Word, and it has to be in Times New Roman font. Cannot be smaller than 10 size font. 1.5 line spacing, 0.75 inch margin. We just highlighted that because that's new this year. I mean, technically you don't have to write a full 2 pages, but trust me, you're going to want 2 full pages. Every element you mention in your summary should have a counterpart in support, and make it easy on the judges. So when you're going through, if you're listing, an implementation, we implemented A, B, and C. When you get into your support document, they should be listed in the same way too. Even when you list your objectives, goals, strategies, and tactics in the 2-page summary, when it gets down to the evaluation section and you're telling what happened after you guys executed the campaign, here's my evaluation, 1, 2, and 3 need to match your objectives. So that way everything's lining up equally. So. And also in your support material, I encourage you to have like a table of contents. Set it up the same way that you set up your entry. You're going to have your research, situational analysis first. You're going to have your planning section, implementation, and evaluation. Boom, your support material needs to be in that exact order as well. Make it easy for them to navigate. I even put like little chapter pages. Like I'd do a page break and say like, this is my implementation support. Page break, this is my evaluation support. Make it super easy and reader friendly. So, because you got to think, some of these judges, especially in a market like you guys, they're judging a lot of stuff. And if it's visually exhausting or little tiny words or a ton of stuff on one page, it gets to be overwhelming and they may overlook it and not realize how awesome you are. So that's an incentive for you. And also be mindful about what you're including. We've had people submit support documents that are like 200 pages long. Or like they'll submit literally every single email they ever sent about a project. I'm going to go ahead and say that's a little bit aggressive. So you don't need all that. Make sure you need to just include things that are referenced in your 2-page summary and the proof of the work. So the proof of the results, all that good stuff. You're done. Just kidding. Don't forget these things that we talked about. Those are, you're not judged on those, but when you're strutting across stage to get your award, that's what they're going to announce. So, and here we're going to talk about just the logistics of exactly how to enter. So the lovely site that we were just at, FPRAimage.org, you're going to select Orlando over to the right, voila. You can kind of see in that little vertical list all of our chapters. So this is just an example as to when you click on Orlando, this page is going to pop up right here. It's going to have your image chair's names and contact info on there, and then when you're ready to enter, click right there. This is going to pop up. You're going to have your login and your password, or you can create one, and then you just dive right in. Your chapter, obviously, is going to be Orlando. You're going to, over here to the right, you'll see it's just a little drop down. Pick your division and your category. And then everything you do is going to be a PDF, and all you do is just upload it. I know you guys are super tech savvy. So you can see right there, upload your 2-page summary, upload your support material, and also the instructions will tell you exactly how to label those files too, because there are specifics on that. And then obviously complete all of your info right there, and then you can check out and pay with a check or a credit card. I don't even think any of y'all probably have a checkbook. I don't have one. I don't know where my checkbook is. So just some deadlines for you guys. The early birds will enter by February 24th. That's coming up soon. Your final deadline will be the 28th. And as I mentioned before, you know, I would definitely always encourage you to enter local because, again, that's free judging for you. But Golden, we'll start taking those in March, and then early bird will be May 8th, and extended entry deadline will be May 18th. I really encourage you guys, especially with y'all's deadlines coming up, if you know somebody who's been a judge before, write everything up. I totally did that, and that is fair game. For those who don't know, we swap with other chapters. So my chapter swaps with Space Coast because we're way up in Destin and they're way down like Melbourne area. So we don't know each other. They don't know what projects we're working on. There's no bias. So we do like that. We swap with other chapters. So someone here in the Orlando area is not going to be judging you. You guys are swapping with capital chapters. So someone in Tallahassee is going to be judging your entry. So ask one of your friends here or a contact or a mentor that you know that judges. Maybe get your entry done a week early and send it over to them. I guarantee I did that. A lady named Tracy who's judged for our chapter for years. She's an APR CPRC. I got her to look over mine, and I guarantee I wouldn't have won if she wouldn't have done it. There were just little things that I didn't realize. It's free judging. So she looked at it for me twice, both of my entries, and I won both entries. So utilize your resources. Also on the website, we've got some great info for you. The secrets video is really cool. If you want to look at some of the past award winners, that is exactly where I started. I'm one of those people that I have to see it. I can't just, something can't come out of thin air for me. So all I did was go look at other people's entries, and I was like, that's it? That's what I got to do? Okay, you got this. 2 pages. So you can see all of the winners. I think we have everyone from like 2004 on. So like I mentioned on the webinar on February 14th, that's actually next Friday. If you want to hear more about the new stuff that's included and see some tangible examples, definitely tune into that webinar. It'll also be available for download if you're tied up with your Valentine that day. You can watch my webinar later in all your free time. And if anyone in the room is a judge, on February 27th, we're going to have a walkthrough because the judging sheet changed a little bit. We're going to have a screen share walkthrough, so they'll actually get to have their little training session on how to judge you guys. Stay tuned to social media. I know that they'll be posting deadlines or reminding you guys. And of course, your chairs here, I communicate with them all the time. So if you have a question, feel free to ask one of them or hit me up. If you guys are on Instagram, you can follow or DM me. I am Whitney Lee. So you can give me a shout there, or voila, you can email me right there. So, cool. Does anybody have any questions? I know that's a lot of info.
On the, what you were saying about the part where we're showing our proof. I got so much video for this one particular project I want to submit, but I don't think I really want them to watch all, maybe 2 out of like 5 or 6 that I want to submit.
So it's a series of videos?
Yeah.
Okay.
Should I ask them to watch them all, or should I just say, hey, just watch these 2, but also show screenshots of the other covers that we got?
Actually, my entry last year was almost the exact same thing. We started a video series. I think I included an example of like 3 or 4 of them. And I just included links to them and just said, if you want to watch a sample of the show, here you go. And just gave them like 3 or 4. Because I agree, you don't want to overwhelm them. Or if you have, if you want to watch more, click here for the full gamut of all the videos. But yeah, I agree. There's no way they'll sit and watch all of them, So.
One more question is, I know this is for Orlando, but I've got one project from Jacksonville. Do I have to submit to Jacksonville, or can I?
You can submit. You could submit at either chapter. Technically, I don't know. You could submit to my chapter. We actually have people in Pensacola who've submitted to my chapter too, because we're like an hour apart. So yeah, it's fair game, and you could win in both spots. So.
I was going to ask, what are the most competitive, entry categories?
I feel like special events, and some of you guys Chris might be able to help. Community relations gets a ton.
For the student category, it's campaigns.
Yeah, because campaigns is pretty broad. A lot of stuff can go into campaigns.
Is there a specific format for title? Like, I know there was just title. Is it very vague? Do we just put that?
The title of your project? I had it last year. Do I make my title something like flashy and attractive?
Yeah,
and my mentor lady was like, no, straightforward. Like the Taylor Haugen Foundation's 10th year anniversary campaign. Super straightforward. But definitely take a look. It'll tell you how to title the, I can't think of it off the top of my head. It's like the name of the project, the category, the division you're in, the category you're in, and then the word entry. Like it'll tell you exactly how the file needs to be saved as. So definitely pay attention to that too. So, other questions? Yeah.
Can you submit multiple entries?
Oh yeah, bring it on. Ask Chris Jen. He wins like 10 awards every year. She said, can you do multiple entries? I said, bring it on.
He leaves like this.
Yeah. Anybody else?
Can you submit one entry into multiple categories?
One entry into multiple categories. I guess if it fits in each one, yeah. And then also kind of like we talked about, like sometimes you'll have a full campaign that can be submitted as an entry, and then you can also extract and just do the video in the video category and just do the press release in the press release category. So
it can't be the same write-up.
Right, yes. You have to like create a whole different, because you got to have a different objective, a different, a whole goal, strategy, a whole new 2-page summary for each one. So.
In addition to meeting the judge's rubric requirements, is there anything that really makes an entry that much greater, just other than exceeding goals and things like that?
Measurable results. I think I see that's where people have really cool campaigns and they don't win something and then they're heartbroken over it because it's a really cool campaign and I can't argue with that. But the 2 things that I see people miss out on is either A, they don't have the research to back it up. You have to prove some sort of, and research doesn't have to be like, I conducted a study and, you know what I mean? Research can be, I searched online and, it can be informal. So A, they have to have the research that shows that this project either was needed or it was an opportunity. And then at the end, you have to show some sort of measurable results. It can't be like, and the party was big and lots of people came. Did you have did you raise $10,000 more than the year before for the charity? Or did you have 50 more attendees than the year before? I'll give you guys a good example. In one of the other chapters, I did a workshop, and a girl was asking me, they got a billboard campaign for the local high school, and they were putting up these really cool campaigns for all the different athletic teams, except for football. But they were doing all these different athletic teams, and she was like, I want to tie this back to anti-bullying. And I was like, okay, that's really cool. How are you going to measure that? Like, you need some sort of statistic of, before the billboard campaign, 100 students per month were going into the counselor's office at the school and complaining of bullying. And after the billboard campaign, 10 students per month. I mean, you have to have some kind of, and still, even then, you would need to show that it tied back to the billboard campaign. So the more I kind of talked with her about the idea, I was like, so tell me more about why you guys were doing this campaign. And she explained, hey, our football team is like state champions every year. They win everything and they get all the attention, and all the other sports at our school don't really get that much love. So we utilize this billboard campaign to talk about the soccer team, to talk about the tennis team, to pump up all of our other student athletes. So that, and I was like, well, why? Why are you doing this? And she's like, well, we want more people to come to their games. And I was like, boom, that's what it is. So you have to prove that, the tennis team had, 50 attendees at their matches last year. And then you did the billboard for 3 months leading up to their, season this year. And you had 150 attendees at all their games this year. You've got to have some kind of tangible something. Just saying like, kids aren't getting bullied anymore. That's not measurable. Even the idea about the school counselor is kind of a stretch because you'd have to show that it tied back to the billboard. But do you guys see, like, you got to show some reason that you needed the campaign. There was low attendance at all the sports games besides football. B, here's what our plan was. We did this billboard that featured these students and promoted the schedule for the games. Then we implemented it. You showed screenshots of your billboard and what dates did it go up and why did you pick those dates? Oh, because tennis season started on April 1st or whatever. And then D, what was your evaluation? What happened? Well, we had triple the attendance at all the tennis games. There you go. You got to have something tangible like that. A lot of people showed up at our party is not tangible enough.
So if you did something for a class project and it didn't actually go out, then how do you get those measurable results?
I guess I'd probably need to know an example. Yeah.
In case of a student project where basically you proposed something theoretical, but didn't necessarily execute it, for the evaluation stage, what you need to do is also then propose, if you had done it, how would you evaluate it? So you talk about it in terms of, these are the things I would have chosen to measure if I was doing this in the real world. And for a student submission, that's totally cool.
There you go. So same thing, like if you were doing the billboard thing, we would have done this billboard campaign. I would have measured the number of ticket sales for the tennis team going forward. I would have measured the number of attendees. I would have measured how much we made on the concessions, get creative like that. So thanks, Lindsay. Yeah, sometimes it's just a different way of thinking when you're talking about a pretend campaign or an idea you have. So anybody else?
Let's say we have some of that data, but not all of it. Like if we said, this campaign raised X amount of dollars, and I know that it raised more, I just can't get that information from a client. I don't want to extrapolate that, so is it okay to just then say it exceeded this amount, but we can't get that information? Or is there a certain way to go about that? Just like if you don't work with a client anymore and can't.
Oh yeah, that's interesting. You could always say we exceeded our budget by more than, or we exceeded our fundraising goal by more than 10%. Yeah, that is a little challenge if you can't get the actual number. But I feel like if you're going out for an award on their behalf, maybe they want to give it to you because it makes them look good too, Anybody else? Yeah.
So a lot of our projects, like in-class projects, we have to create an organization. Mm-hmm. So how do I go about it? Do I just explain what the organization would be?
Mm-hmm. And who your target audience would be and what the missions and the goals of the organization would be. Basically as if it really existed, but it would be,
Like, do I say, this is good, like, this is not a pretty organization? Do I state that?
I would, yeah. I would say something like, something about our goal would be to create an organization that would serve as a nonprofit for kids against bullying, Bullying is on my brain, apparently. Anybody else? This is fun. Y'all are testing my image knowledge. Yes.
I mean, we may have missed it, but the webinar on February 14th, is that something that you've already shared the details of what time that's going to be?
So we're actually going to pre-record it. It's going to get released it should be actually probably up the night of the 13th, but it'll be pre-recorded for download. So in case someone has a Valentine's date, they want to download it for later.
Will it just be on FPRA.org?
Yeah, and it'll be promoted through FPRA social media as well. So, and then also eBlast, just in the same way that we do the monthly webinars, it'll be promoted the same way. You'll get to hear me talk for another hour. Yes.
So if you worked on it with the team, how would you make sure that everybody's getting full credit?
I would list that in the organizational overview, and then also there was a section that talks about whose responsibilities are what. In the part where I was talking about the new portions that need to be included, there's a section there's one of those line items says like dial out like these people were on the team and his job was to do the video, her job was the press release, just dial it out who did what. And actually on the award, because I won an award last year that was like a group of people, it has everybody's names listed. So everybody gets the love. So. Yes.
If you no longer work with a company and you did a campaign through the company on behalf of another client, but you did the work,
Yeah.
do you still have to put their name on it? I mean, it's the right thing to do, but just
Yeah.
out of curiosity.
Yeah, that's interesting. Like an agency work.
Yeah.
Yeah. I would put your name and the agency name. So, one of my entries last year was a client of mine that they just hired me for like 1 year to do an anniversary campaign. So they technically weren't a client anymore, but it was still cool for us to win an award. So, awesome. All right, well, I'll be here. So if you guys have any questions or hit me up, shoot me a DM or an email, whatever's easiest for you guys. And definitely stay tuned for these breakout sessions because you'll learn a lot. And that's when you'll actually get to see an entry and they'll talk you through it. So, and if anybody can win these awards, these two. So, all right.
Thank you so much, Whitney.
Thanks for having me.